They go, yeah.
They'll switch to Netflix. There's too many entertainment options. So I was sitting there like the first time it happened, what can I do? And I looked over at my backpacks of the gear that runs on Speedify. You paid for a year of it. You can use it on any computer or device. So I just pulled out my one of several hotspots I have, hooked it up, cranked up Speedify, and it has never been a problem since.
We used the Speedify software at a command line level, so it's not running a whole UI which is starting to drain resources. It's really very, very base level. And the really clever people at the BBC got it all working, and we're now presenting whole programs every single day of the year have been presented using this technology. All our weather reports from our weather presenter are done already.
If I look back at my original lives, they are awful. They're terrible. But we all start somewhere and we all get better. And every time you go live and every time you get on camera, you're going to get a little bit more comfortable.
You saw part
Really?
of it? Cool.
Nice. All right, we are famous. You want to say hi to everybody? Now you're on the video. So wave. That's the camera right there. Nice. All right. We are going back to look at this guy's house. It has a lot of white lights.
There he is. Hey, Christian.
Fine.
Tell me light on the deck so you can see when you tell it's live.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so these lights
do have RGB mixing, so if you want to do each color, you can mix them independently. Within the app, there are a couple features, and I'll just go show you this. So,
see power. There we go.
Woo! Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Dallas is showing you how to get really dirty in the mud. Doesn't that look?
We have, all of us have these amazing cameras. Apple, Samsung, Google, they put all of this R&D into making sure everyone is able to shoot really great video straight from their phones.
Also, I would say streaming kept me from going completely insane when I was in that hotel room for 2 weeks when I first got to Australia.
So raising awareness is really going to help break that stigma. We definitely have a stigma in our society where it's, not okay for folks to be open about their medical conditions. It's kind of seen as shameful.
We build custom PCs for a lot of content creators, gamers, you name it, businesses, colleges, esports, and we broadcast a lot of our builds here on our Twitch channel.
We treat people that are experiencing anxiety, depression, eating disorders, addiction, PTSD, and trauma.
Is just building budget aesthetic gaming PCs. And I have my studio here now, so we've graduated away from the basement of my house and whatnot.
Take a bunch of inputs from your computer, cameras, display captures, and mix them together into a video feed that you can stream out to the internet.
And then I do a lot of thought leadership talking and trying to educate the industry on the value of techifying, as I call it, their events, and been doing that for a long time.
I think it's been really quite comforting to a lot of people, and I think that's one of the things, when you manage stress and anxiety and all that, to make new friends, to be uplifting, to be supportive.
Welcome. I'm your host, Alex Gizis, and this is Speedify Live, the live stream about live streaming. Twice a week, we interview people doing interesting things with live streaming. We talk to gamers and businesses that are building PCs live and, explaining legal cases. We also sometimes bring in people from the software companies like, StreamYard and Restream and OBS, and we interview them about, where they're going with their products and how to use them and secrets of success. We just celebrate the whole of live streaming. So give us a follow and tell us who you're watching so we can get them on the show, or who you'd like to hear more from. Our special guest today is StreamDad. He started streaming about 5 years ago. He's famous for his Dead by Daylight playing. He also does Into the Fog. And now he's starting to stream his farm, Fox Cooley Farms, 24/7. So before I bring him in, maybe we should play some of his highlights, just so those of you who are not already fans can check it out.
Shelves will go in here, and I want to keep them maybe an inch taller than these trays are. So let me tunnel. Go back to the hook. I mean, I can understand it if I was like looping her like crazy and be upset or something, but I haven't done anything at all. Wow.
Right. Hey, welcome. It's really nice to have you here on Speedify Live. How have you been?
Pretty good. I just need to figure out how to make my days longer and how to do the work of 3 people, and then I'll be peachy.
And then we'll have you back on so you can explain it to me. So do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we dive into it?
A little bit. Well, I'm a partner Twitch streamer, which completely came by surprise. It wasn't something that it was a goal of mine. It just kind of right place, right time. And things have changed a lot over the last 4 years. Schedules, which has been devastating to the stream, and then content, because I did the typical, okay, I've been doing this for 3 years now. Am I going to be able to make a living at it? Probably not. Let's go ahead and focus back on the farm. So that's why the farm stream is up, and it's a fun project, and hopefully after I get everything dialed in, I might actually be able to make a living at it.
Right. So let's talk about the gaming streaming first, then we'll talk about the farm, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So why Dead by Daylight?
Well, actually, the reason why I started streaming at all was completely my friend's fault. I was home for 7 months taking care of my wife while she was going through chemo, and I needed something to do in the time when she was sleeping, because I had to wake her up every 3 hours. So I wanted to play games with my friends, and none of them are on console anymore. So I had to build a PC that could handle a game. And then I was just looking for something easy to play, something with less controls, because even at my age, I don't want to have to know 15 keyboard commands. Dead by Daylight, the mechanics as far as the controls of it are very simple. but at the same time, I was learning how to play on keyboard and mouse as opposed to a controller. He gifted me a lot of different games, and I'm just like, man, this is going to take me forever. And Dead by Daylight was, it had the scare factor to it. It, had some pretty decent gameplay. And being ADHD as well, I needed games that weren't going to last hours on end because I would just completely get bored out of my mind playing games like that. So your average match on Dead by Daylight is probably about 10, 15 minutes. It seems like it goes faster. And I just stuck with it. And that's why Dead by Daylight, it's changed a lot over the years, and a lot of people are very unhappy with it. I'm not happy with everything they've done with it either, but it's still it's kind of like my go-to. And when I start getting frustrated with it, I switch games, and I took on Phasmophobia, which again, easy controls, games don't last too long, still has some jump scares in it, even when you get used to it. Love the jump scares. Get your heart going. At my age,
the horror game, yeah. I like the asymmetry of the game, right? That the murderer is playing a totally different game almost. For people.
It's changed. As it got more popular, it became more sweaty on the killer side. People see that versus, and it's 1 versus 4, 1 killer versus 4 survivors, and they see that versus in there, and then they're like, it brought in a lot of like first-person shooter players that are kind of tired of playing CS:GO and stuff, and now they're in here, and it's like, if I can't kill everybody, it's not a good game for me. And it's not really about that, but there's a large portion of that community, of the Dead by Daylight community, that's very much into competitive gameplay. It's just not my thing. So when the games overly become that way, and killers aren't willing to have a little bit more fun and appreciate the game for what it is, and we all know, well, most of us know that the definition of game is something that we do together for fun as opposed to competitive, then that's usually when I switch out, because I just start getting really perturbed with it.
Yeah. So by the way, we are live. And so we're streaming to multiple places, but we're watching the comments on all of them. So if you post a comment or a question underneath, I see some people, Marby and Quiet Galaxy, seem to have figured this out. They're posting comments. We're putting them up here. Just pop in. We're here to answer. So why Twitch? Right. I mean, you're only on Twitch.
Well, I mean,
YouTube. There's
like I said, I never really thought much about it. The same very good friend of mine that got me into the other games. By the time I built my PC, and he was like, "You might as well stream. Your computer can handle it. You've got a decent enough internet connection." Being out in the boonies, it was actually surprising. A year before, we got fiber out here, and I'm 45 minutes away from any major town, and people still freak out about that I have such a good connection. I live so far away from everything. So him and his friends and other people I knew were on Twitch, and I used to watch them and stuff, so they knew the ins and outs of it pretty much, so it was much easier to set up and figure out because I had that helping hand. And Twitch, for the most part, has been really good, to me. So only up until lately have I thought about possibly changing platforms, but probably not with the gaming part of it, more so with maybe the farm. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's an easy enough to set up and get started. As far as streaming goes, and there's a lot of people that are willing to help you too. The community is fairly decent with each other.
Yeah. Good. Any advice for somebody who wants to get started streaming?
I don't always have a favorable answer for that, what people want to hear. There's enough people out there that YouTube creators want to really boost you up and get you to follow them and watch their videos and everything. And then, they make money off of advertising like YouTube does and everything. And it's a little perturbing when they're not so realistic about it. Most of the people that are big streamers that do this type of advice on YouTube videos have made it big elsewhere and brought that large viewership to Twitch and YouTube and everything else. Some of them started on TikTok. Some of them started, what was the other one that went out of business? I can't even remember the name of it anymore. Vine or something like that, or what was?
Yeah,
Vine.
I was thinking of a different one. Yeah,
some of them had out of business. Some of them had millions of viewers. They hit it at the right time and they made it big, doing everything but gaming, and then they were just like kind of expanded, and it was smart business for them. But as far as streaming, my biggest advice for people that want to get into streaming, one is just do it, right? And the other one is do it because you enjoy it as a hobby. Don't expect anything else from it, because the numbers are just not there for you to sit there and go, because you go to visit Twitch, you see, the first thing you're going to see on the main page are going to be larger streamers. When you're doing searches, it's going to show you the larger streamers first. You're going to, if you don't know about it, you're going to watch them. And then eventually, if you're like me, you sit there and go, wow, that guy's getting subs. That guy's getting donos. That guy's getting bits. And if you sit down with a calculator and you figure, even if you figure 50% on a sub, that's $5, you're figuring $2.50 a piece. That guy just dropped 20 sub bomb on a guy. That guy just donated $50. That guy just donated 1,000 biddies. And you're sitting there going, this guy's making like $50 every 10 minutes, It's like, I could do this. That's easy. It's not. The numbers that I've seen and I've heard truthful people talk about is less than 5% of the people that stream on Twitch actually make partner. And then out of the people that make partner, there's probably less than 5% of them that actually make a decent, healthy living doing it. You can affiliate. We
1 in 400 is your estimate, then. Yeah.
That
might even be optimistic, to be honest.
It might not even. It actually, especially since with the COVID, I think they were talking about over 10,000 new streamers a day during COVID.
Wow. So hard to stand out against Olette and Hoyce, right?
Oh yeah. And a lot of people, they're really good at games, but they really don't have a streaming personality. And you need to be real. You need to be your real self. Don't act like somebody else that you've seen, because people are going to see that. I don't know how many times I've gone to streamer goes, oh, that guy's trying to be Vincent Vega. That guy's trying to be Morph. That guy, you could see it. It's obvious, just be yourself, and again, like I said, I never I didn't even know what a partner was until long after I became an affiliate. And then it was everybody else sitting there going, oh man, in no time, you're going to be a partner. I'm like, what's that? But it did happen really quick for me. And again, right place, right time of day of streaming. Just very chill, family friendly. And I always had the ovarian cancer thing. I used to really push ovarian cancer awareness a lot more. And I used to have like little talks about it every time like a new raid would come in, and I'd sit there and talk about how it's the number 5 most deadly form of cancer because of its late detection. And the reason why it's a late detection is because the early signs and symptoms are very similar to everyday type ailments for people with ovaries. Usually you say women, but we know that that's not always the case anymore. And then doctors, anytime you're suffering from pain, they do a standard blood and urine test, and cancer doesn't show up on those. So now all of a sudden, they're not going to tell you. You're basically listed as a drug addict. This is what happened to my wife for many years, and it's sad. So you have to be aware. You have to push your awareness on people that you go see so that they take you seriously. The first time I dragged my wife into the hospital, the doctor talked her out of a CT scan. It would have found it immediately, And for 7 months after that, the doctors kept not recommending it because they basically considered her a drug addict just looking for painkillers. You know, and that's kind of where our world is right now, right? But at the same time, I don't know how long she put off going to see it or to see a doctor, because again, it's just like very similar to, you know, very more common, ailments for people with ovaries. And so, yeah, I used to push that. I used to.
I'm not sure if she'd want me talking about it. So someone in my life started having, her fingers and stuff started hurting. She started having all these symptoms. And she just went to the doctor and said, I think I have ovarian cancer. And doctor tried to talk her out, and she's like, nope, you're scanning. And they scanned, and she did. And they actually said, we have no stats, right? We never catch it this early.
And that's
she's fine now, but like
the success.
I don't know how she knew, but you have to be aggressive, right?
Right, you do. And I've always been the one that's been aggressive for my wife. And you have to stand up for yourself. I mean, if a doctor is not willing to truly listen to you, and I mean, they're not going to lay it on like, oh, you're a drug addict or something like that. But it's that thought in their mind ever since the whole opioid issue. So you really do have to, ask the questions. Sometimes I ask questions. My wife is like, why are you asking that? And then I'm like, because of this and this and this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, what are they going to do? Give me an answer I don't want to hear, or give me an answer that I think I'm leading towards, you know? So but early detection is, I mean, my wife, when 7 months into seeing doctors, when we finally got to see a doctor that was familiar with us, which is hard to do these days, you know? Oh, you can see any doctor you want if they got time. She was like, you've been coming here for 7 months. How come nobody's done a CT scan? I'm going to get you a CT scan. And by that time, her tumors were already 13.5 centimeters. You could actually feel them through her abdomen, you know.
7 months is a long time. Yeah,
it is. And like I said, she may have been putting off going to see a doctor for a year or more too. Until I dragged her in. I'm like, you've been complaining about this forever. I'm taking you in, you know. So, But yeah, cancer is a nasty bug.
And me, so I had a lump over here, and I just casually mentioned it to my wife, and she dragged my ass to the doctor. And it was a benign tumor in my saliva gland, the kind that 100% eventually turns into a malignant cancer. So caught early, and it's exactly what killed, what's his name? DJ Yak from Beastie Boys.
Oh yeah.
He had the exact same thing, but he didn't have someone drag him to the doctor.
I mean, at least at that point, I mean, you had something that was detectable.
Yeah.
You know,
a
lot of cancers are so late detected. Like I said, there's the standard urine blood test they give you when you go to the doctor complaining about anything doesn't show anything except for like bacterial issues and infection. You know, and diabetes, or what, but I've had
there's lots of other things that could be wrong besides the big C, right? So
I had a problem myself when
Quiet Galaxy is. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Quiet Galaxy is asking if you think the streaming helped bring awareness to cancer.
Absolutely, and I know for a fact that I probably saved some lives. Like I said, I used to talk about it a lot. It's still on my screen. It's at the top of my stream. It says ovarian cancer awareness. I've had people message me going, because of seeing your stream and seeing that and seeing the early signs and symptoms, I got checked out, and sure enough, so it's like, yeah, absolutely. Never underestimate a well-placed awareness logo, let me tell you. But talking about it all the time made a big, it really pushed it through it. But it's if you're not feeling well and a doctor doesn't say anything's wrong with you, either get a second opinion or start looking stuff up. I mean, don't just say, oh, well, I guess it's nothing because the doctor says so, right?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, with mine, I'd actually forgotten about this. The first doctor I went to said it's a cyst. You can tell it moves with the skin, and I moved the skin; it didn't move with it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you're wrong. And I walked out and never went to that doctor again. I went to my dermatologist. The dermatologist said, you know, there's something wrong with your lymph node here. You need to go see an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. So I go see an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. And he says, you know, it's not a cyst and it's not a lymph node, it's your saliva gland. So I said, well, I had 2 doctors tell me the totally wrong thing, right? And I told him what the 2 said. And he said, well, fire the first doctor, keep the second doctor. He was wrong about what it was, but he spotted that it was wrong and sent you to the right specialist. That's all you need, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's a thing too with the medical profession is the lack of them wanting to send you to a specialist. I've had a lot of issues with medical professions, and my wife used to have chronic migraines. And again, from day one that we, you know, once we moved to where we're at now, and we went to the local facility, from day one, they literally just basically treated her like she was a drug addict. Because it's really hard to prove that you have a migraine. There's no test for it, right? Even though they're like, check your eyes and see if you're light sensitive and everything, they still very much don't want to give you any drugs because they're worried, you know, now that we know about opioids and how people get addicted to them and overdose on them and everything else. But I had a yelling fit in facility with 2 doctors that my wife had. This has been over 7 years, right? They've treated her like garbage. And so I talked to the head doctor, and he had seen her, and they weren't following the protocol that was written. There was a written order for what to give on what day of a migraine, because my wife's migraines last a week, right? When we came back and he told them, you will follow the written orders, whether you believe in it or not, because that's a written order. Their comeback to me was, if your wife has had migraines for over 7 years, how come you haven't gone to see a specialist? And I'm quick. I'm quick on the ball like that. I was like, in 7 years of seeing my wife with a migraine, have either one of you ever recommended her to a specialist? They shut up that quick. You know, you got, like I said, you got to stand up for yourself, because unless you have somebody next to you doing it for you, doctor ain't gonna stand up for you. So, but yeah, we've had problems before. I've had personal problems too, but having to call their judgment and making them run a different test and finding what's actually wrong, just like you know. But mine was a parathyroid issue that was causing kidney stones. And it's not all kidney stones are caused by parathyroid. There's like 3 different types. You have to stand your ground. This guy was starting to fat shame me, and I almost punched him in the face. And I said, "Don't you start this with me, buddy." I said, because I know plenty of overweight people that don't have kidney stones. So let's not go there. But I see there's more questions.
Ah, yeah. So Marby's asking, what is the biggest challenge you've experienced from streaming 24/7?
Well, the stream runs on live cams at 24/7. I'm not out there 24/7, obviously, because at almost 59 years old, I'd be dead by now. The biggest problems that really with the way, once I figured out how to set up, once I had a programmer write a script, because you can actually change the cams and the locations on that, whether I'm there or not. It's all done through a JavaScript program.
Oh, by doing comments?
Yeah. There's commands. Software issues, mostly OBS crashing when it decides it wants to, or Twitch changes API, and then you have to go back in and find your key again for the Java software to recognize it, etc., etc. Mostly it's software. Once you get it figured out, and once you get the cams in place, that's about it. And Twitch restarts every 48 hours. It ends it and starts it again. And then it pushes this huge, I'm sure it's because of the size of the VOD. But like I said, because it's not an affiliated stream, I think VODs only stay for like 7 days or something, unless you save them to a category or a collection or something like that. So,
right. So Quiet Galaxy asks, oh yeah, how does the drone camera work?
The drone is actually a looping drone video that a very good friend of mine shot with his professional drone about 7 years ago, so it's very out of date. But if you go to the farm channel, and I think you can type like exclamation point drone or drone 1 or drone 2, there are my less professional quick drone videos. They're hosted on YouTube, but I think I have them as unlisted, so you actually have to click the link for it or something like that. I always mean to go out and do more.
You have a drone? What kind of drone do you have?
I have two. I have the DJI Mavic Mini, and I have the Mavic Mini 2, which I've had for a year and I haven't flown it yet because the other one still works fine. But they run on different channel frequencies, and I was really worried once I started running all the Wi-Fi and everything out in the greenhouses if it was going to mess with the 2.4 gigahertz, bandwidth and stuff. That's why I picked up the 2 when it was on sale. So.
Oh, is the 2 up on 5 gigahertz?
Or something in between. It's something. It's just really strange that you can fly these things like 3 miles away, even though it's illegal. You're supposed to keep them within line of sight, but giving you a drone that'll fly, 7 kilometers away. It's like, oh my god. So, but I do, and I always want to go out and shoot one. I just rarely have the time. I'm so busy doing so many different things. Relic has a Mavic Mini too.
Relic,
yeah. He uses his a lot. Hi, Relic.
Thanks for joining us. As you see, we're live. You post comments, we respond. So why don't we talk about your setup a little bit?
You guys showed like my starting screen. It doesn't look quite like that anymore. That was back when I had a 2 PC setup for streaming. And the reason why I did that is I had a lot of special effects and stuff like that, and one computer would handle it. So once I could afford it, I built a newer PC and connect them together. For those of you that don't know what a 2 PC streaming setup is, it's really nice. It's a real pain in the neck to set up, but once you have it dialed in, you could do so much more without it just tearing your stream apart. So now my game streaming is done on my original PC, which is always I had to cut back a lot of my special like background graphics and stuff like that because it just couldn't handle it.
So let's talk about software. So the first PC is running the game.
When you're doing a 2 PC setup.
Yeah, 2 PC setup. Let's talk about that.
Right. So the one computer is literally just the game, and then maybe I'll have like chat up on the side there, right? Something that's not going to drain resources, because some games are very rough, and Dead by Daylight has become that way too. Every time they add a new chapter, it's just become more. That's what's making it rough for me to do anything more than just play the game on this computer with a few things open. So yeah, normally you would have your game, and then that computer you would mirror out one of your monitors and run that into a capture card on your streaming machine. And then the streaming machine takes that, puts it into OBS. If you have other special effects going on, which I had a ton of stuff. I mean, I had, like movie files, custom graphics and stuff like that would come up, and like my whole stream was moving, the background moved, every, image had like a animated frame around it, and then the ovarian cancer thing up here, my sponsors over here and stuff like that. I can't do any of that now on the one PC. But there are ways to override that also. I mean,
I know. I was trying to make a video just of a Zoom call on a laptop with one of the little GPUs, and I could do the Zoom call. It was beautiful, but anytime, and I could run OBS, and that seemed perfect. But anytime I had OBS record the Zoom call, I got garbage, right? And eventually, I figured out that each of them used 2/3 of the GPU, and running both at once was just a disaster.
And they keep updating OBS, and it takes up more resources just to run the program. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
To
doing
get
better
more and
at
more exciting
handling
effects, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's doing better at handling the output and cutting back there. But the program itself, like, I mean, like now, when I run a game stream, DVD will run like 30%, and OBS will run anywhere from 25 to 29%, and then I've got to have, my chat open, my Discord open, and then anytime you have a browser tab open, oh my god. It just sucks up all of your GPU and CPU and everything else. So yeah, absolutely. The 2PC is, I remember when I did it and people were like, oh, that's not bigger streamers than me. Oh, that's nonsense. Oh, nobody wants to do that. Now they're doing it and they're like, I can't believe I didn't do this.
Yeah.
It's an investment. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, these games, they take over your GPU, right? I mean, they're trying to render a 3D world, right? I mean,
yeah,
they take over the
Oh
whole
yeah. I mean, and I don't know why anybody would. I mean, I understand for gameplay, but for streaming, it's just not necessary. I mean, you can only send so much out. I mean, I think I'm actually streaming now on like 720, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want the best and the best." And like, I guarantee you, those people that are watching, especially if they're on mobile device, they can't tell the difference. They're not going to see. It's still going to be crisp and clean. It's just, it's going to be less taxing on your system too.
Yeah. So Ebullient Abundance asks, what do you like about being a family-friendly streamer?
Well, I mean, I'm ex-military, so when I'm not streaming,
Thank you for your service.
And luckily for me, it was during Reagan's first term, and nothing ever happened. But it's easy for me to split the two, like the behavior, the discipline. I'm also a Freemason, and so that kind of puts you in check also as far as proper behavior, manners, and all that stuff as well. Not that I had a problem with it before then. So it's not hard for me to do. Once in a while, I've slipped maybe in the 4 or 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 times, where I've said, some type of mild curse word, but
yeah, I slipped 3 weeks ago, so crew purchased me this F-bomb I could drop.
So
thanks, guys.
The hardest thing, and I realized this even before I made partner about doing family-friendly content, there are very large family-friendly creators out there, right? But they're also like people that started streaming like during Justin TV. They're OG streamers. They've been around for 14 years streaming. So they've built that base back when there was, very few big streamers out there. But for family-friendly streamers, you get people that want the excitement. In their normal everyday lives, they're, dropping, curse words like punctuation and so they kind of feel more at home watching a streamer that, gets really, really excited and blurts out, the F-bomb or whatever else and stuff like that. And everybody wants to watch a train wreck, but nobody wants to be in it. That's how I look at it. And so you get those people that want that, but you also have people that sometimes they want to relax. Sometimes they want to chill. So sometimes they're looking for a more chill streamer. And it doesn't necessarily mean you can't be profane. It's just on your behavior on stream as well. But I was like I said, early on, I was doing family friendly. I got a really big raid in from who's now a friend of mine in the DVD community who doesn't even play DVD anymore. And she told me, she's like, oh, this is really cool that you're doing family friendly streaming. I've had a few friends that have tried that. And I was like, tried. It is a smaller community. There is, and your numbers, you're never going to have the chance of making it really big as a family-friendly streamer unless you are just right place, right time, right content. I mean, and I am. I mean, I sometimes I'm in like a really powerful, energetic mood, and I'm there, and you could tell because people are coming in and they're just like, oh, I love this and this and that. And then sometimes I'm there and I'm focused on the game, and I'm really quiet, and people are just like, how is this guy even streaming? He barely even talks, you know. It's like, but I'm not, you know, throwing curse words out there either. So it's a challenge. It's a little bit more of a challenge, and I mean, we need less challenges if we want to stream, right? We already have to worry about software and hardware issues, which is a never-ending saga as well. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had a full stream that something didn't either crash or forgot to run something, or, you know, monitor goes out, or, you know, there's always something.
We now have and she walked off with it. We now have a written checklist before we go live, right? Is your phone in do not disturb? Right? Like, you know, and you know, we're up to like 20 things that we check, and you know, shoot,
yeah.
Every time there's something we didn't do until we hit it on the written list. So
well, usually when I stream, I run closed captions for hard of hearing and for deaf people, because there is actually a very large part of the viewing and gaming community that are deaf or hard of hearing. And a lot of streams offer closed captioning. You just don't know unless you scan over their stream, right? And you'll see the little CC show up on the side of it, right? And then if you click on it, you can bring up closed captioning. But there were people using closed captionings before I did, but I was actually not confronted. I talked to somebody asked me if I'd be willing to add closed captioning to my stream, and I was like, absolutely, because I'm a little hard of hearing myself. Eventually, I'll probably lose my hearing, I was all for it. And you know, I used to have the information up because people were like, oh, this is so cool. How do I add this? And I'm always trying to help people. Like, you have questions, send me a DM on Discord. I'll get around to it. I'll help you out. There's a lot of different ways of doing closed captioning. Some of them are just messy looking. Some of them are very inaccurate.
How do you do it?
I do it through a service called Web Captioneer, which actually uses Google Translate in an incognito window. And it picks up your mic and it puts it on the screen, and then you bring it in and you bring it into OBS, and you can change the size of it and move it around. I mean, it's a little bit more work than running an extension through Twitch extensions or whatever, but I just like it better. And some people, I've had very few people ask, like, how do I get rid of the closed captioning on your stream? I'm like, you don't. It's there. And they're like, well, why is that? And I go, because when you get done streaming and your stream goes to VOD, you can't bring up closed captioning anymore. Where the way I do it, it's permanently on my stream. So whether I upload it later on to YouTube or it goes to VOD and somebody goes to watch it, well, maybe they're at work or something and they're watching the VOD, you know, then they can see what's going on there, or they're sitting at home and they've got, kids at the table. They know there's not going to be any profanity there, but they can, put it up on the big screen TV. They can see the subtitles going across. And again, even me and my wife goes crazy because I'm like, can you turn the TV up? Turn the TV up. But
my hearing is fine, and I just watch TV with closed captioning on.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
it's so much better having the words there.
It would be
sometimes
nice.
I mute it even.
Right. I don't usually do too much for closed captioning on my TV and movies and stuff, because I find I'm too busy reading and I'm not watching the actions.
Okay.
Just turn it up.
So let's see. So the setup on the farm, it's OBS 24/7 going to Twitch. What kind of cameras are you using?
I use a few different cams out there. They're PoE cams. If you're not familiar with that, it's power over Ethernet, right?
Yeah.
I have some that are Amcrest and some that are Hikvision. The Hikvision are more expensive. I don't really notice too much of a difference in the performance. I do once in a while have some issues, but I think it has more to do with PoE switches than it is the cams. And yeah, I just have them mounted. There's like at least 2, if not 3 in each of the greenhouses. There's more coming as I can afford them. I've got 4 waiting to go, but I was going to save them for the chicken stream, but I don't know if that's going to happen until next year. But I want to just make it so that, you can watch a product. Like I noticed in the introduction video that you had of mine, you showed an image of inside my greenhouse. There was nothing growing. And that's because that was all seeded. Well, it was I all seeded it rather than growing it first and then transplanting, because my second greenhouse is still not ready. I just direct seeded everything, and it took about 30 days, and I've been harvesting like crazy. Yesterday I harvested mixed lettuce, spinach, kale. I mean, I spent a good half a day harvesting, washing, packing, and getting it chilled. But if you look at it now, it's like the thing is really green. There's stuff growing, and it shocks me because it's the first time I've actually grown in a greenhouse. Usually I'm out in the field, and there's a lot more challenges out there, bugs and deer and mice and gophers and everything else. I don't have that problem in greenhouse. So.
Nice.
But the PoE cams is the way to go. It was the way to go. But I did have to run Ethernet out to all of my greenhouses.
Yeah, I think that's what you want. You don't want to have all this stuff wireless and deal with the unreliability.
Well, greenhouses work almost like Faraday cages. And if you don't know what a Faraday cage is, for those who don't know, Faraday cage is a metal mesh cage, and the metal mesh, usually out of copper, the more professional ones, it doesn't let any signal in or out, electronic signals. So if I'm inside and I had this problem while I was building them. You're inside and I'm trying to send Wi-Fi. I have this 13 dB antenna on top of my roof, so I could, not have to worry about signal ever. And I was having issues, and then I was like, this is a huge Faraday cage. No wonder I'm having issues, right? So
is there coating on the windows?
On the windows,
I mean, obviously there are metal bars making the frame of it, but I would have thought that.
Well, it's the metal bars. The metal bars that bounce the signal around. Absolutely. But there's no windows on my greenhouses. They're basically considered high hoop. So they actually have 6 mil plastic over the top. It has 2 layers of it, and that's inflated between the 2 to give it the insulation value addition. So yeah, it's all plastic, but the steel hoops, really cause a problem.
So it seems like we're up to a couple hundred people watching. So audience is growing here. So
welcome,
for those
everybody.
just tuning in, hey, I'm Alex Giesis, the host of Speedify Live. We're here with StreamDad, the Dead by Daylight and live 24/7 farming streamer. We're totally live, so if you have questions, ask them. We'll put them up. We answer them.
Somebody asked about the chicken stream. The chicken stream was something I tried to do last year because there are people that actually have those types of streams on Twitch where you can go in, you can watch chickens. They have multiple cams up, and you can donate biddies to feed them, or if you subscribe every day, you can go and treat them. So I was like, that's really cool. Plus, I want to have chickens. I used to have chickens, but I had a fox do them in. So that was the first thing that I built. But the problem is during pandemic, was supply and demand. The cost of construction materials and everything else was just too much. And the greenhouse
was crazy for a while.
So it's still something that's in the works, and hopefully by this time next year, I'll actually have it set up. But the stream is still up there because it's sort of just like, let's see how reliable OBS is. Let's make sure our software is still good. It has the same cams on it that my farm was but it's there and it's running. Why not? I mean, it doesn't cost me anything to do it.
Yeah. So EAS, have you always farmed, or was it something you picked up?
Well, did not always farm, and originally from Los Angeles, born and raised, more than half of my life, and eventually wound up in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area because I don't know, man. Something about big city. I had enough of it. I'm very much aware of my surroundings, and it just freaked me out walking down the street. So after moving here, we started off really small, and then we needed a place to move because my wife had a horse, and it was costing us a fortune to board it. We're like, might as well buy a house. Half of the mortgage is right there, right? And we're already still paying lot rent for our home and everything else. And then she wanted a garden, and I'm like, this is so cool, and let's make it bigger and bigger. And it went from like a 20 by 30 garden to a 150 by 50 garden to now I think it's 150 by 150 times 3, actually, because I have 3 different areas that I can expand to. Right now, I'm just a very small portion because I'm still working on the greenhouses, and I don't want to take away too much time, which already is too much time because I'm growing stuff. But we were ready to go live, and I had that whole field completely planted out. I had equipment to do it, to make it easy as possible. And the week after we got the whole field planted and I was getting ready to start doing like farmers markets and all this stuff, that's when we found out my wife had ovarian cancer. And she's like, what about the farm? I'm like, screw the farm. Priorities. Farm can wait. I did have 2 greenhouses that I had just got done finishing. They weren't set up inside, but over, the 3 or 4 years of, not only streaming, but also taking care of everything else and dealing with my wife back and forth to Mayo Clinic, because they collapsed from heavy snow load because I'm in Wisconsin and I wasn't maintaining them. And so I lost them. I had to tear them down year before last and start from scratch. So, but I did learn a lot from that. So I made sure that wasn't going to happen again.
All right. So EA is asking, do you just sell to local stores? Who do you sell the farm outputs to?
Right now, I sell to nobody. I'm still dialing things in because, like I said, this is my first year growing in a greenhouse, and you really have to figure out, by this month when you need to start your seeds, and then so that they're ready to transplant at a safe time to do it, not only inside the greenhouse, but later on out in the field. So there's a lot of dialing in and figuring out schedules, because you can't just let seedlings sit there and wait until you're ready to put them in. You have about a week to 2 leeway between the time that they're ready to go in and when you actually put them in. Otherwise, you're just going to stunt the growth. So there's a lot of that. There's direct seeding, which I did out in the greenhouse, and it took a long time to get those things sprouted and a lot of care. And I'm out there like every day going, did you sprout yet? Did you sprout? So I'm actually really surprised that the germination did as well as it did. But it was a lot of work getting it set up and ready to go. I brought in 20 cubic yards of compost and probably another 20 cubic yards of wood chips to do the walkways and to build up on what is probably the most worthless soil. That's why I had to put the compost down. The compost will break down and it'll turn that soil into something usable over the next couple of years. I had good soil there to begin with, but when they did the concrete work for my other greenhouse, they didn't realize that from one end to the next was a 16-inch height difference, and they scraped where my third greenhouse is to put the soil there to lift it up to, and then I wound up with having to bring in fill dirt, which was really bad stuff. So, but it's, like I said, it's dialing things in, still learning experience. It's a new method of growing that rather than what I'm used to. I used to grow in the field and just have tons and tons and tons of produce. All my friends and family were real happy with it, and I gave a lot of it to food banks. So there's always somebody looking for food, you know.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, why don't we change gears and talk just a little bit about like trying to make a living off live streaming, and your thoughts on that, or at least or maybe a side hustle.
If you have a day job, don't quit your day job. Trust me. At the time, like I said, I started when I was taking time off of work anyways. And I was able to do that because my family owns a business. So my daughter and a couple of the other people that worked there took care of it while I was home for 7 months. And that's when I got into streaming. But again, I can't emphasize enough. Do it when you have the time. Do it as a hobby. Do it because you really enjoy doing it. If you have a hard time hitting start streaming because you're just like, I don't know if I want to stream tonight, a couple of times, try it anyways, because chances are after you're there, you're playing your game, you're probably going to feel better. That's every morning for me. Every morning for me at this point is, man, I really don't want to hit stream, but I have a community that supports me. That makes it easier, and I have fun playing the games. But as far as thinking, again, we talked about this at the beginning. You see these big streamers, and you can watch the donos and the biddies and the subs and everything. Are like, oh my God, these people are making so much money. The odds are against you ever being anywhere close to that. And I know people that are partnered streamers that they work full time and they stream 3 or 4 days a week, or nights a week, I'm sorry, but they're short streams and they're still made partner doing that. And they're, and some of them stress out. I mean, it's not just one, it's many of them are sitting there going, I'm partnered, but I'm not making enough money to live off of. I'm like, this is what I'm saying. Just because you make
How about
partner
sponsors? Have you had any sponsors? I mean, I know you've done the cancer donations, but that's the other
sponsors are a whole nother thing. Like I do, promote gamer supplements, right? Which is sort of like a G Fuel or an Advanced or anything like that. I went with them because I tried them. I went to a TwitchCon. I tried everything that was there. It was the best flavored one there. And because of how much more healthy I think it was than the other brands. So then after I tried it and I bought some and stuff, I said, hey guys, I'd really like to do this. Plus it's keto friendly. It's keto safe. And I knew a lot of people that were doing keto. We all knew somebody was doing keto, right? So I was like, this is awesome because I can, get my friends and community members a bit of a discount to go and buy it. And if I make money, I make money. I don't really make that much off of it, but it's good stuff. I also have sponsorship with Arazi chairs. I make absolutely nothing off of Arazi. Again, I'm more worried about saving my community money when they buy it with a discount code.
Did they give you the chair?
I do get the chairs, though. Yes. Actually, I've been with them.
A good chair is an expensive thing.
And the quality is there. But, I mean, let's be really honest, okay? Well, chair companies probably don't want me to talk about this. Every chair is made at the same factory overseas, okay? And if you think I'm lying, go look at one chair to the other, the mechanism underneath from one model to the next, and you'll see similarities, maybe even exact similarities. It is what it is. Yeah, it is. It is. TVs are the same way.
The FDA closed one factory making baby formula.
Oh my God!
And suddenly every brand is out of baby. There's no that was the only factory.
Well, and that was only 5% of their business.
Yeah.
Did you know that? That company that made that baby formula, that was only 5% of their overall business was making that baby formula.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't put more effort into making sure it could pass an FDA inspection.
Yes, but
That's crazy. There's a lot of
I'm
crazy.
getting you off topic again.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, do it because you want to. You're curious about it. You want to try it out, and give it. I mean, don't invest in it. Don't invest in it until you're sure that you're making X amount of dollars, and even then, just be really careful. Like if you're going to need a new PC and you built somewhat of a community, do a fundraiser. Let your community pay for it. Don't pay for it out of your sub money. You're going to need that sub money to help pay for your bills. I mean, and I have a problem asking people to pay for my stuff too. And it might not be in your, in your not best interest. It might not just be in you to ask people to help you buy stuff. I have a problem with that myself. It's a personal issue, and I know a lot of people share it. But
I have a friend who's a streamer who's actually retired on a pension, and so I think he's just spending every penny the stream brings in on bigger monitors and computers, and it's fine, right? His wife is like, "Well, your hobby isn't costing us anything," and for him, it's a huge win, right?
if he's retired and he's getting a pension, then yeah, it's extra money for him. Absolutely. I thought it was like that for me too, but things change, and then you're sitting there going, well, it's really nice to have $5-6 grand worth of all this computer equipment, but boy, I sure could use $2 grand right now. So, and I mean, and I've had that happen. I've had times where, for a few months at a time, I was just like, man, I'm making pretty decent money. It's still not going to be enough to cover my household, with insurance, both car, home, mortgage, utilities. I mean, it's never going to be enough to be me as the sole supplier of money to this household. And that's why I decided I needed to really start focusing on the farm again, because the farm has a greater chance of doing that than streaming. So again, if you've got a full-time job, don't give it up to start streaming, because even if you make partner, chances are you're not going to make as much. Right now, I'm making less than minimum wage. I could go work at Subway and make more money than I do streaming.
Of course,
and it didn't always be. It didn't always used to be that way.
You'd be working on your feet, not playing video games, right?
True.
Yeah, Pink Gorilla Games is kind of interesting, right? Because he is streaming while running a gaming store, right? So he's doing two jobs. He's got the live stream, and at the same time, he's,
And that's a great thing. It's like I mean, I even like, for those who don't know me, I'm a retired tattoo artist. And as a tattoo artist, we don't have a retirement plan. So that just means I don't tattoo anymore. My family still owns the business, but, with the pandemic and everything else going on, it's really kind of shifted gears. We've lost artists and, we had to shut down for 3 or 4 months. So if I was still tattooing, if I could still tattoo, the problem is my hands can't handle it as much. My eyes can't handle it as much. And I want to be able to produce the best quality as opposed to just being able to tattoo somebody, I could do that anytime, but I worry about the quality. But if I could still do that after taking the time off and after starting streaming, I guarantee you I would be there streaming my tattooing.
Yeah.
I would be streaming the shop. Even if I wasn't there, I'd probably set up like the farm cam. I'd set it up the shop and people could,
people
interact.
would watch that. I'm sure there are tattoo artists live streaming.
I have a good friend of mine that when once in a while he streams his tattoos. But it's right time, right place, who community that you build. Even that, I mean, there's no guarantee. You watch other live streams that are kind of similar to mine that have chickens or ducks or sheep or whatever, and they're averaging 200, 300, 400 viewers 24 hours a day, right? But people like to do that with animals. They love to watch animal wildlife and stuff like that. So, it's like, I don't even know, right? I don't even pay attention to the numbers anymore. It's sickening. I'm usually averaging 1 to 2 viewers, and that might even be myself. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, right, averaging on the farm, sometimes you're not working. I was watching before, and just
right.
the greenhouse with you not out there.
And I didn't bother to even affiliate the farm stream because when you affiliate, you get commercials. If you don't affiliate, you don't have any commercials. So, I mean, if it's not that important,
did they say they were going to add them?
Do I add them to non-affiliate?
I think I think there were some announcements recently that even unaffiliated people.
It wouldn't surprise me because Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah. So Marby is asking. So we're kind of around where we said we would end. Do you want to go for a few more minutes?
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. The audience keeps building. Look at that. So Marby is asking, how important is community to streaming? I guess the obvious follow-up. Yeah, the obvious follow-up question then is, so what do you do to build your community or to interact with your community?
Sure. Community is everything as far as streaming, but at the same time, when you get very attached to your community, it kind of gives you less of an exit door. What do I mean by that? Because a lot of times you feel like you have to stream because your community has supported you. Even when, like for me, I went from averaging, like 260 to 325 viewers all the time. And then I took time off and I streamed IRL building my farm, my greenhouses. I lost 3/4 of my subs. And now I'm lucky if I have 65 viewers when I'm streaming, right? Plus, I mean, sub money is sub money, right? But the people that have continued to support me, the people that have always been there for me, I feel obligated to give them my time, and I stream. I mean, I get done streaming sometimes and I'm like, wow, I made $15 today. But I hung out with my people. How to build a community? You just gotta, you do what you do. You make sure you enjoy doing it, and I hate to say start Discord and get everybody involved in that because Discord is a sore subject at this point.
Why is it a sore subject?
Well, because they've been taking away partnerships from people because they're not active enough. Even though you have enough numbers of people that are there, if it's not super active all the time, and you can't, you don't beg your community to buy nitro, it's like, then they're just kind of drop you off the partnership because they don't want to have to send you a free t-shirt or sweatshirt every year as a fun if you're not making them money. So yeah, that's why. But Discord is great. I mean, you get people in there, you post stuff, you also have to, again, it's one more thing you have to worry about: trolls. You got to take the precautions, find yourself a moderator who's very familiar with how Discord servers work so they can put that stuff into place. Discord helps. You can hang out with your people and chat in Discord too, and even when you're not streaming. I use it mostly for that, and like I post my farm stuff on my Discord too. So it's a very low activity Discord. I can understand why they dropped me from their partnershiping, but it's like, whatever, dudes. Then they were talking about doing NFTs and stuff. They didn't do it, but they were talking about it. So, but community is everything. Building a community is just going to happen over time. People that enjoy hanging out with you, they enjoy your content, they enjoy you, off and on stream. It just happens, but it's very important for streaming. I mean, would you sit there and stream to no viewers? It happens. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to give up? You're going to keep doing it? That's why I said, make sure you enjoy doing what you're doing, whether you have someone watching you or not. Someone will come and watch you. Someone will get there eventually. Maybe your friends will start off. But community makes or breaks your stream. And it's important. Absolutely. Hi, Shiggles. one of my community members, one of my greatest community
All right.
members right there.
Hey, Shiggles. All right. Yeah. I found a little Discord. I was talking to, was it Ben Torrell from OBS? And I asked him a question about OBS, and he said, why don't you go on our Discord and ask that? I said, okay. So I went on Discord and asked, and someone immediately answered my question, and it was fantastic. And I left so happy. It was a full week later before I realized the person who answered me on Discord was
the same person.
The same guy. All right.
You know, and I've had times like
fine. I got my question.
I used to use Streamlabs chatbot, and I used it for years, and recently stopped using because they did an update, and then I had a lot of special things set up through Streamlabs chatbot, sound effects. I had it where it could pull videos into OBS. I mean, there was a lot. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and they changed something in it. They messed up on an update. It wouldn't play my sound effects that my moderators used to get my attention when something was wrong, right? And other things started happening, and I did. I mean, for like a week straight, I was back and forth with Streamlabs and their chatbot Discord, and have you tried this? Try this. Try this. Try this. And finally, nothing worked. And they're like, well, maybe it'll be fixed on the next update. And the next update came, and it still did it. So I don't use it anymore. But I have, in OBS especially, I have gone to their Discord when I have issues, other things, Stream Elements. I use a little of Stream Elements and Streamlabs both, and I think you'll probably eventually get to that. If you're going to stream, pick one or the other. I started off with Streamlabs. I do some stuff on Stream Elements now that I don't like to do on Streamlabs, but pick one and stick with it. If I had to suggest one to start with, Stream Elements, because it's better to get used to it now. Plus they literally have some of the things that Stream Elements started doing, Streamlabs is trying to copy. You don't want the copycat, okay? So, but yeah, and it helps a lot. You can set your scenes up there when you go to stream, and you can bring it in as a browser, and you can change the scenes through that. It takes a little time to, well, depending, especially, you know, for an older guy like me, it takes a little time to learn. Some people pick it up like that. But use Stream Elements. You might as well, and just get used to it.
It's a Stream Elements website, and I've never sort of seen this myself, but it's got stuff about helping find you sponsors and things. Have you ever been involved with that? Or?
I get messages, especially in a lot of people that work with Stream Elements too. There'll be little sponsored like content opportunities, like Raid Shadow Legends or some other new games that, you know, will come up, and they'll be like, you know, if you run this sponsored content, and if you can get 20 people to download it and play it, we'll give you X amount of dollars. I mean, that's great, especially for small streamers. I've had, as a partnered streamer, I get the opportunity for sponsored content. And my biggest problem with that is my conscience. It always gets in the way because, like, I don't like that show. I'm not going to go watch an hour of it. I don't like that game. It's going to bore the death out of me. I'm not going to play that game. I don't care how much you're willing to pay me. And they always seem to offer, like,
I promise you the Kardashians don't have that problem.
No,
if they're
no,
paid,
they don't.
They promote it, and that's why they're billionaires, right?
No, they don't. Kardashians wake up in the morning and go, you need this scent for your mineral diffuser, and they get paid $25,000 for that bunch of the time right there. Yep. And they might not even use it at all, but yeah. I do. I mean, the same thing with like with gamer subs. You know, if I had G Fuel knocking on my door going, hey, switch over to G Fuel, I'd be like, hey, no.
Yeah. You have to have some integrity.
You do, and
right.
I try to keep that at a high level.
All right, so we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. So I think this is probably time to wrap it up. Though this was awesome.
There's nothing else you want to cover? Any more questions? I got all day.
I actually have a whole nother page of questions we haven't gotten to, but
I promise, hit them up. I'll answer them quick. How's that?
Maybe we have you back again next time. So StreamDad. If you guys are not following him on Twitch, you should follow him right now. Me,
It's now
Speedify Live.
StreamDad
If you're not following
IRL.
me, you know, I am interviewing all sorts of interesting people and things involved in live streaming. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, office hours, I'm pulling in, you know, the developers of Speedify, so you can quiz them live with your technical questions about how it works and how to use it to improve your streams. I didn't talk about it at all. That's fine.
I might be here hanging out for that one.
Thursday, the Baltimore Avenue Dollar Stroll. Although I used to live on Baltimore Avenue, I didn't know anything about this. They closed the street for an entire mile and turned the whole thing into a massive festival. And so I am gonna take the gimbal and mount the phone, and we will walk the length of it. And you know, I'll have Barb Kilmartin, of course, who you know, your tour guide for Philadelphia. She's awesome, and we will check it out and let you see it.
I hope you have good walking shoes.
That's right. And finally, June 21st, we're going to have Alex Petit, the tech broadcaster and consultant, and that should be super interesting. We'll dig back into the secrets of live streaming that we didn't hit here today.
Secrets, super secrets.
Yes. All right. Barb Kilmartin is blushing. All right. Good to know she's watching.
Hi, Barb.
So she'll be our guest on Thursday as we wander the streets of Philadelphia once again. So, all right. I think we're gonna call it here.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me. Anytime. And if we didn't cover something and you've seen my stream and you want to know how I do something or anything like that, hit me up in Discord. Seriously, happy to help anybody, and I'm really obviously very overly honest about it.
That's good. All right, Barb is right. This was amazing. All right, see you all online. Good night.